Hello again. This is Apple Trees episode 5 of the third season. We're back from our, months-long vacation, and we are finally ready to get back to all of the updates on Apple things which happened during this time. And I think we will start with the...
Maybe we should start with the pre-show.
You
What
mean-
was your vacation? Vacation, okay.
Vacation from
I
the
know
work,
that you're.
Yeah.
I understand, but probably you want to tell us about your vacation, since you are now living in California. Maybe your vacation was much more interesting than mine.
No, it was well. Essentially, we will still be working all the time, and I might say that we were exploring all the things you could do with this new Vision OS SDK, and I have to admit I still didn't have a chance to work with the real device. So yeah, don't ask me about anything on that particular thing. Hopefully, we will have something soon, but we'll see. One thing I would like to admit that there is an interest for this particular device for some of the brands which they explore the capability and how you can use this device in the real world. And one of the things which actually interesting here is that this device could be a cheap alternative to something else. Like that's kind of hard to say. And again, I have a lot of NDAs in order to, so I can't go into details. But I know a couple of companies who are exploring Apple Vision Pro as the cheap alternative to using something else for their processes, and that's actually kind of interesting to see.
But this sounds like it will be some kind of very niche product, because I thought about what apps I really use on my Apple Watch. Yeah, it's not very comparable things. They are totally different device for different purpose, but still, this was something similar. So Apple said us, okay, guys, see, you can do apps for this awesome device, even standalone apps without any host app. Still no.
Well, there are a couple of things. So the niches which we explore right now, they might be like limited, and there are like maybe even focused on the enterprise. However, the price of the device actually also reminds that the Vision Pro might be an enterprise device for now. So until they have a more affordable option, like maybe slightly less expensive with the same at the same time quality. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But as of now, there is an interest from that perspective. However, we also can have something really interesting in terms of entertainment, and the entertainment part is the where this Vision Pro device might shine actually. So we'll see how it goes. And interestingly, switching topics to the recent event, there was almost zero information on the Vision Pro on the last Apple event. The only thing which was mentioned that there is a huge interest from the developers, and that the Apple team is on track to release Vision Pro early next year. That's essentially it. We do not have any more information on this particular device. So I think we and by the way, yeah, the summer is over. Like in some countries, here in US, summer will be over on 23rd, I think, of September. Like we use this weird thing of having astronomical summer seasons here. So we still have summer here officially. Like, let's put it that way. But we are now getting into the fall, and therefore we will see what will happen next.
I believe for iOS developers, summer starts with WWDC and ends when OS is released.
Yeah, I think so. It's at least those are important marks. So, and by the way, this Wanderlust event, according to many sources, might be the only like the last event in this year. There will be no more presentations, no more product unveiling, or they will be in the form of the just basically a press release. So we're seeing the last nicely recorded demo for something.
Budget costs.
Maybe. Let's go through that, and then we will talk about one more event. But let's first cover what we've seen on this Wanderlust event. So we all knew that there will be new iPhone announced. We expected to see new watches, and we actually got all of that. So
Apple became very, very boring.
Well, they are a little bit predictable here. I agree. And from what I see here, we've got Apple Watch, which is like really incremental update. There are no significant features. Well, they finally updated the CPU and GPU on the system on chip, which they use, which is great because, well, we all wanted to have that. However, they essentially will be using that for on-device Siri, which is great. But like again, we probably can live without that. If you have like Series 8 Apple Watch or like Apple Watch Ultra, that doesn't make you want to buy a new one. And another thing which they added is this double tap gesture, which will be working for some reason only on new watches, which is interesting because this double tap gesture it already works as accessibility gesture on the previous models. So my take here is that they probably made this gesture much more reliable, so it will not be just accessibility but rather like general purpose gesture on the new watches. So
they simply want to do some marketing in this case.
Yes, that's another option. Basically,
you're trying to find good reasons, but it's very complex.
Well, I mean, I was trying these gestures on the Ultra, and they were working more or less reliably. I didn't find any cases where they mistakenly captured this gesture or like did not recognize that. So I suppose they could just put that to all the models as well. I mean,
I have an idea how to use this gesture.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting on some boring call and you want to mute someone, you just and that's it.
Well, yeah, that also could be the case. So again, like these are definitely very incremental updates. If you have the current generation of Apple Watch, then you probably can skip these like without any fear of missing out anything. Yeah,
I want to replace you. Oh my god.
The Series 8, Series 9 will have brighter screen. Ultra will also have a brighter screen, but I mean, come on, we can live without that at least for now.
We heard interesting rumors last year that they gonna skip Series 9 at all, and we'll prepare something big for Series 10 and for like anniversary version.
They didn't. Yeah, they skipped
the
iPhone 9. Yeah, but not the watch. And maybe they will have something for the next year. Who knows? We'll see. As of now, again, like the...
By the way, as experienced Ultra user, have you ever used Siren feature?
Well, no, mostly because we never got into a situation when we actually needed to use that particular feature.
I really want to go somewhere and try, but I always forget about this idea.
Yeah. One thing which I actually wait for is the new iOS and watchOS releases, when they will have an ability to have trail maps on the watch and on the phone. And that's actually really great here in California, where you have a lot of trails and you will have them. You typically use some kind of an application like AllTrails or something like that in order to find them and go. But now they will be on your regular Apple Maps, and that's probably one of the greatest addition in the new releases. But that's again, that will work on the previous generation watches, so no need to get anything new right now. And yeah, I still hope Apple will backport this gesture to all the generation watches as well. And by the way, when you buy the new Apple Watch right now, this gesture will not be available immediately. It will be available as a software update later on. So just to confirm, one less reason to buy the watch immediately. Okay, let's go to the phones. So we finally got the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro. And
so Static Peninsula, goodbye.
Is no longer, yeah. So we now, everybody lives on the dynamic island. And one more thing which we need to say goodbye to is the mini version. So 13 mini was still on sale before this event, and now is no longer there. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm not using mini, but I really hoped that this phone will be on the line, but people for some reason don't like mini phones. And I expect like in a month or two, there will be a lot of outcries that Apple doesn't make small phones. Like again,
they will release a new SE and that's it.
Yeah, but SE is essentially the same size as just the regular model, like the 15 or 15 Pro.
They will release a new SE.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, removing the mini model right now and making something maybe like slightly more than a mini but less than a regular like 15 or 15 Pro might be a good thing to do. But we'll see. I think the mini or SE model, which they can release, that might happen somewhere in the spring. Like usually that happens that time.
I want to have my old iPhone 5 just with Face ID, and that's it. That would be the best phone ever.
Yeah. Interestingly, what they did, like the trend of having previous Pro chip going into the regular model and Pro getting the new chip, this trend continues. So they set this trend last year, and now they have like A16 for the non-Pro models and A17 Pro for the Pro model, which, I mean, there is no A17. We only have the Pro. So that might also mean that the next year they will have A17 in the non-Pro models, and that A17 will be less powerful than this Pro. I don't know.
Maybe they just maybe this is just a broken A17 Pros with less cores and etc. So maybe they just put them into shelf and wait until the next year.
I mean, that's maybe the case. We'll see. But again, I know like if you sell the Pro iPhone, you need the Pro chip there. But we were okay with having like non-Pro chips if it works okay. So we'll see. I mean, I don't get this cheap naming for the phones, but well, Apple marketing has something about it.
Because cameras, and we're coming to 48 megapixels cameries in all phones.
Yeah, but the 48 comes to non-Pro as well. I mean, like we now have. So it's and it runs on non-Pro chip as well. I mean, like, so you can power that camera without Pro chip. So who knows? Interestingly, let's speak about the cameras. Finally, Apple made this Pentaprism camera where they and again, that's only for the Max model, and everybody expected this to be called Ultra for that particular reason, but Apple still sticks with the Pro Max. So this gives you 5x zoom level on that model, hopefully with the great stabilization, because higher the zoom, you need to be really good with the removing the motion blur and everything. We'll see. And one additional thing which we can highlight here is that the portrait modes are improved on both models, and I think they are also improved in the software, so maybe the previous generation phones will also have something about that, but I'm actually not sure about that. So they said that it will capture more details, it will be able to probably distinguish the loose hairs on and it will be able to blur them more properly, so we'll see. But even on their demo, when they showed this portrait, there was one moment when they showed I don't remember exact shot, but it was clearly visible that the blur around the hair was a little bit weird. So it's still the problem if you take the pictures with that. But
because even with these lidar and other stuff, it's still not so precise to do this kind of things.
LiDAR is really low resolution. And by the way, non-Pro models still do not have LiDAR there. So that's unfortunate. I actually expected that they will gradually move it to the all of the phones, but no.
Because it's a very pro feature, I would say.
Yeah.
So, because when very often my wife says me, please turn off this freaking photo mode of portrait mode, just because I hate this. Just make normal photos. I will do something with them later. So maybe that's really not a case for non-pro people.
We'll see. I mean, by the way, with this new portrait mode, you will now be able to focus on different subjects after. So you take the picture and then you change. So you might remember
similar to what they had with the video.
Yeah. You might remember there was a camera many years ago. I think it's what it was called, Litra camera, which took the image in a way that you can focus later. It captured the very specific technology. It was low resolution, but it was this cool feature of focusing on something later on. So it's essentially looks the same way. It's implemented totally differently, but because all the blur is artificial. So, but it's still interesting to see something like that in the phones. Okay, let's talk about the last thing about these new updates. Finally, Apple ditching the Lightning connector, and now we
have one more thing. But yeah, finally, thanks God, European Union wins.
Yes. The problem is USB-C is just the connector and not a standard. So having USB-C port doesn't mean that your phone will charge quickly. Doesn't mean it will have high speeds, and doesn't mean that you can use any cable. So let's talk about all of that. So the non-Pro models will be using USB 2 as the data transfer capabilities. So low speed, really low speed, on par with the Lightning cable overall. It's probably will be the same. Pro models will use USB 3, and by the way, not the Thunderbolt. It will be using USB 3 modes again, and the Thunderbolt uses the same connector but totally different standards for data transfer. And it's still, I think, unclear if any charger will work in 20 watts mode. I mean, they probably will be using USB power delivery, but it's still unclear if any charger will work, or you will need a specific cable with a specific charger and some other specific things which will work together.
Specific Apple cable with specific Apple charger, because there were not rumors, but I heard that Apple will lower first-party chargers to 5 watts, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I agree that this is something good, because if some no-name company with their charger just break my phone, I have no possibility to sue them. Yeah. With Apple, I also have no possibility to sue them successfully, but I can.
Well, at least that will be some kind of there will be more people being angry about that. So again, one thing I would like to mention though, that this USB-C connector has one downside compared to Lightning. With Lightning, you could take, I don't know, like this wooden or plastic toothpick and clean it, because it was like enough to clean. With USB-C you can't, because it has this thing in the middle, and you don't want to break it somehow. So the cleaning of that part will probably, you will need to just use some air blower or something like that, and that's it.
Come
And
on, after 2016 MacBooks, you should have air blower.
yeah. Let's not get into that. Finally, the keyboards are better now. So, okay, even with the phones, updates seem... Well, oh yeah, by the way, the action button instead of the
Action button.
only on the Pro model. And my idea here is that it's actually a good thing. I never use this mute switch. It's always in the same position, and I never change it and then I do anything about it. But it's great they replaced it with something new. My concern is that this button will have the same fate. Like, you will see this button, you will see it be able to turn it on and off, but it will still be same unused thing. So you assign some feature and you will never use it again. So that's
Why? Because
hopefully
you
not.
can you can assign a camera to this button, and this is a big deal, because this is something that
Yeah.
I hate doing with press on lock screen, but sometimes I need to do it much faster than just doing something with my phone, because I have old phone. I have to touch my screen before doing something, so that's not very good.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, hopefully it will be used much more often, but I still think that I might forget about that button when I get the phone, and I don't know. So again, even looking with all these great new features like the photo enhancements, new cameras, and even this action button, this is still incremental update. I mean, yes, they switched the aluminum for titanium on the Pro models, and that allowed them to save 20 grams on the weight while increasing the battery size, which is great. I mean, I would say that's something great. But this also means that your Pro models will have quite limited amount of colors now. You cannot paint.
I know. So I buy like not silicon, but just clear cases, just because colors are beautiful. Okay, from now I have to buy colorful cases, because still I don't believe in using with a very, very unsafe, I believe.
We'll see. Yeah, and yeah, I would agree with you. So almost everybody will still use some kind of cases, and these color options are not that much of important. But they still have blue, which is not just another shade of gray like all other color options for the titanium. So we'll see. Okay, one more thing which we need to say, that the release candidates for the iOS are there, and the releases are expected on September 18, and macOS will be a little bit later on September 26. So there will be no significant delay between the releases of these operating systems this time. And that probably means there will be no
problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you. So it's not very related to releases of the OSs, but what do you think about updated Xcode? So you had 3 months to use it. So
yeah.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts so far, it's more or less stable. I didn't see the source kit crashed things much. I did not see much of the crashes of the Xcode itself. I mean, even considering this a beta, I still had some of those, but it was not that often. And it's still like more or less usable. They did not change the user interface much, which is great because like one of the recent Xcode updates were like really painful in terms of
Fine.
motoric memory.
Yeah.
This time it was okay, and they also like changed the way how you download environments, which is more or less good. I mean, you can have now smaller Xcode distribution and then download the SDKs and simulators later. So that's probably a good thing. But again,
Especially
I
for
can't
people
say
who are
anything.
doing only macOS development. Yep.
Yes, exactly. So, but I think
All three
most of
people around the world who doing only this, yeah.
but all the rest will definitely download the iOS part, and some people will also be downloading maybe the VisionOS. Well, again, maybe those three people there.
By the
Right,
way, just so again, sorry, I will not let you go further. So what I really miss since Xcode 8 is support of normal plugins. So,
Yeah.
but we don't have anything since Xcode 10. I don't remember exactly when they introduced Xcode developer source extensions. I don't remember what's called.
Yeah, there are extensions, and they have now the plugins based on the Swift Package Manager. So like code plugins, which is well, I mean, you can assign even some menu item for that, but it's actually a replacement in a way when you can do some code manipulations using Swift Package Manager packages. So that's probably closest thing to that which you can have. As regards to the UI plugins, yeah, I mean, even if they have the extension system, I don't think we see any plugins happening actually. So it's
Why I'm asking because not asking, but just asking the universe because we cannot have any plugin for GPT, any GPT mode.
right.
And this drives me insane because everyone else around the globe, they do this. If I want to do something with GPT,
Well, we had one third-party extension which implemented that. I'm not able if it's stable enough to be used. I mean, I unfortunately I even didn't give it a try. But I was reading that they had something, but it was not working with the GPT. It was working with the original GitHub Copilot. So it's not even the Copilot X or something like that. So I actually think that Apple needs to step in here and make maybe even their own language model for Swift. So, I mean, why would you want to use some third party with unclear privacy terms when you can have something which, well, hopefully will have the, I don't know, clearly stated privacy policy like Xcode. I mean, I would see that as a part of the Xcode Cloud offering. That's my take, but it didn't happen yet. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe if we talk about Swift only, maybe this thing can run locally because GPUs and Metal and all this stuff is pretty powerful. Okay, not so powerful to do this very reliably.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Maybe this is something that they want to do, but they don't have time to do because usually it takes a lot of time for them to do something new.
I think Hugging Face recently released the tools to run large language models locally. I mean, I think they even have something for the phones, but you definitely can run that on your Mac. So that's probably a good start. But you need the proper model now, which will be focused on Swift and working with that. So I think that's that's a great direction to look into. So it's already there. You probably can start working with that. Speaking of clouds, I want to give a shout out to the new iCloud storage tiers, which were like briefly announced during the event. I think they're not yet available for the purchase, at least when I was looking recently. But the thing is that you can now buy 6 or let me check.
I believe the last time when they upgraded storage, it was just upgraded for everyone. No?
Yeah, well, they increased the storage for
Existing tiers?
yeah. But now there are new tiers. Like you have now 4 gigabytes and 6 gigabytes, which is up from 2, and this is like significant boost. I mean, especially if with these new cameras, when you can capture 4K video with 60 FPS, that will definitely
when
need
you
more
can
storage.
when you can shoot spatial video
Exactly. So
with the 2 cameras on Pro phone.
Yeah, and these new tiers will cost up to, I think, $30 per month. So, well, not that cheap, but if you have a lot of data, you well, currently you can have Apple One subscription with like premium and buy additional personal, and therefore combine this storage together to get something. But well, now you can buy even more, and I'm not yet on the margin where you need to buy additional storage, but it's great that I will be able to keep all my, I don't know, photo library, and like don't think about moving it somewhere else in order to save some storage. Okay. Let's talk about one more event, which is not the public. Well, I mean, it's a developer event. It's not the unveil of new technology. So Apple sent an invites to select developers to participate in-person developer event on September 27th at Apple Development Center in Cupertino, and that will be whole day experience focused on the battery life and performance. That's all we know. And well, actually, I will be there. Finally, something I can say. The interesting thing about this event, they had some policies you need to follow. One of that policies was, if you wear your company T-shirt, you need to somehow like make logos not very like noticeable, or better, not wear any company identifying T-shirts whatsoever.
I have a proposal for Apple. You can give everyone free Apple T-shirts.
Yeah, maybe. Another thing, so you will not be able to take pictures or record anything there. So it's and that's actually kind of weird. I mean, you want to tell developers how to improve performance and save battery life, but you forbid them from taking pictures and sharing that outside. Well, that's kind of weird. I mean, that's Apple. We know that, but maybe they will.
Maybe they will share something later.
Yeah, I'm just hope that this will not be just for those who attend the Apple Developer Center, but it will also be shared with other. So when they hosted these events on Slack previously, these Slack chats were usually not preserved for much, but at least you could review that within those events. Maybe they will be keeping them like I think they said on WWDC that they will be keeping these Slack recordings for longer, at least. We'll see what will happen on this event. I will check with their policies in regards to what you can disclose there. But I hope after that event we will have another episode and we will talk about the experience of that developer event. And that's actually great that Apple has something for the developers. Developers. Yeah. Okay, well, we have, I think, a couple more topics and we can wrap So what we have the China iPhone ban or not ban, or like I don't know, I have no idea what they try to do here. So there are a couple of news reports that they ban government employers from using foreign phones, well, especially iPhone specifically. But then there was a comment from, I think, their foreign affairs minister or something like that, who said like, we do not ban anything, we just want like everybody to be using to be following rules or something like that. But and Apple still sells iPhones in China, even the new model will be sold there. So I think
this is very, very bureaucratic thing about keeping all data on
yeah,
accessible to the party. So
I read one thing about this. So yeah, well, I mean, it's essentially true, but China cannot force Apple to like leave China. If Apple leaves China, well, building iPhones, so they will need to build new factories. They will need to ramp up the production on other factories, and that will make iPhones more expensive. But on the other hand, it will also make China less preferable for anybody else. So it's they can't force them out. They might, like, I don't know, make some arguments. They can do something. But if Apple leaves China, that's a huge kick on China's economy, I think. I mean, and like other companies might follow as well. I mean, why wouldn't they? So that's a like bureaucratic.
Why you are talking about Apple leaving China? I think it's definitely only about this small thing about government and working with because it's about their national security. I understand this, and definitely I believe people in the US government cannot use, I don't know, phones from Chinese companies.
Well, they can use, I think they can use Samsung phones, and I think some people use those.
Samsung is a part of their alliance, so why not? It's South Korea,
Yeah.
It's not China.
It's interesting for me that China is basically saying like they ban, well, not ban, but like they are curious about all foreign phones, so only China phones are there. And in some way, iPhone is a China. Well, it's made in China, it's designed in California, and this operating system is run by a US entity. But so are many of the Android phones. So they also have a lot of parts of the operating system which they probably cannot like verify. These phones do not send anything. Like, I don't know. I mean,
so it's very interesting because in China they have so many different local companies who are producing stuff. And example of Huawei showed us that it's hard, but they can live without Google and all this stuff and still exist somehow. So maybe they just want to be ready to what happened with other countries who become sanctioned for some reason.
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, it's for us it doesn't mean much, but for the developers who are targeting China as the market, it probably means that you need to make sure that you like market your apps appropriately. And by the way, previously China already had a couple of things restricting developers. They needed to get the license for the mobile apps distribution. Apple took care of that, so the individual developers do not have to do anything. The App Store itself was able to be licensed as this thing. So, but it seems that China is getting more and more like separated in a way of controlling their digital life. It's not just this firewall, but also a lot of other things happening there.
So here I will play a role of bad guy. But after the US banned exporting any technologies related to artificial intelligence to China, this is not the worst move from the China side.
Well, yeah. I mean, we'll see how will this develop, because overall, the China is a really big market for Apple. Like there are a lot of people there. They
90%
love,
or something like this. So yeah.
they love the products. And from the other side, like we have Tencent, who is controlling a lot of games here, either directly or through Unreal or Epic Games, which is owned by Tencent, by the way. So like let's be honest, it's US company, but it's owned by Chinese company. So well, there are a lot of things happening there. So what I'm trying to say here, we probably need to keep an eye on this thing, because that might have some interesting changes in the way how Apple works with China, and how like we see the results of that. Right. Let me focus on just one more thing for the developers, and then we might talk about less developer things. But Composable Architecture 1.0 is released. It happened somewhere like maybe month or even more than a month ago, but it's finally there. So the guys from Point3, they finally said that this is the 1.0 version of the Composable Architecture, and I think that's maybe a good start for good moment for those who want to start learning these unidirectional data flow architectures and try something with all of these stores, reducers, and everything. So they have a couple of videos and couple of articles. By videos, I mean like these videos are actually free for everybody. They have their paid video podcast, but they have free videos dedicated to composable architecture specifically. So take a look on that. That's a great thing to start learning, because well, that might help you resolve some issues with this thing. And this new composable architecture is really it works really great with SwiftUI. So again, everything is controlled by state. Therefore, like the way of you controlling this state in a unidirectional manner is again improving everything there. So I think that's a good thing to see. And I know a lot of projects who are using composable architecture before that. Like they had to probably spend some time updating the code right now in order to follow the 1.0 branch. But it's still great to see that.
Okay, and so yeah, in our list I see the last topic. Developers will need to disclose reason to use some specific APIs. So what will you do with usage of user defaults?
Yeah, you have to now submit the details why exactly use user defaults and a couple of file APIs. So, and by the way, this topic also is somewhat related to China. Let's take a step back. Many years ago, Apple cracked down on using IDFA, identifier for advertisers, which essentially a unique ID for your device, which is the same for all the applications. So Apple gave control to the users in order to provide this identifier to you.
I think it was we had something before. We had UDID of device accessible to everyone, but then they implemented this ID for vendor or something like this.
Yeah, so they essentially cracking down on an ability for the applications to identify each specific device. And what comes up after that, there was a thing which was called, and I think it's still called, Chinese Advertising Identifier, C8, which is basically like a fingerprint of the device. It uses a lot of something which application can access, and it's basically they're trying to build ID which you can use from applications from different vendors to still identify the same device. It works not perfectly, but it works okay. So what Apple now tries to do is tries to limit the use of this fingerprinting on the devices, so you will the users will not be able, the developers will not be able to identify each specific device of the user. So we'll see. Again, I'm not sure how efficient this measure will work and how they will be checking this disclosure for the API usage. And I mean, that's another step in the review process, which might be you need to, you put something there and they say, nope, we don't think you are using these APIs for this reason. And you will have to come up with something. I don't know. You are still not forced to. The time to disclose the APIs will come up later. However, again, as I said, it's not really clear what will be the actual policy for that, how thorough they will be in checking those disclosures, and will they be doing some, I don't know, automated verification of that API usage, I don't know, checking the code or checking the application on some virtualized or real environments. Who knows?
By the way, I really do not understand what's wrong with using of user defaults. It's pretty close, so it's inside Sandbox. It can be shared only between applications of the same vendor. So what's wrong? Do they know something that we can do now?
That's real. Well, I mean, maybe you can read something in these user defaults which was not written by you. I know you can get, I know, some preferred languages or something. You can try to use that to understand the environment in which the application is running. I don't know.
Okay, probably yes. So maybe, good point.
Yeah, by the way, we were talking about the European Union. We also need to highlight, again, that didn't mean anything yet, but Apple was announced as a gatekeeper for App Store, iOS, and Safari. iMessage, I think they still have to, they are still in talks. The gatekeeper designation means that they will need to follow the rules which this Digital Millennia Act enforces, which many people think that Apple will allow third-party app stores, which we need to wait. I mean, I was reading a couple of editorials, and there are exceptions for this rule, and one of the exceptions which probably Apple will be trying to use is the security consideration. So if this new app store which you will be adding to the platform significantly undermines the security of the platform, then you might not provide that option. So all those who think that there will be alternative app stores next month on the iPhone, probably you have to wait. It's
good luck, Facebook. Good luck.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen. And even this setup company, they already getting developers for their alternative app store for the iOS in Europe. And again, that's, I think, will not work for now. I mean, what I actually think that Apple might allow some kind of side loading, but it will be limited, you do not have access to any security important feature, and it will not be an app store. It will be ability to install the application with some, I don't know, you will definitely be need to using cable or something else.
Or it can be something very, very scary as now installation of enterprise builds.
Yes, exactly. It will be something which will be non-user friendly, and it will not be, you will not be able to access everything. So in that case, the ability to install something doesn't mean that you need to do that. So you can, but why would you do that? So, and I think that will still be considered as something which will be following these European Union rules. So don't expect any new app stores now. I think let's see how the story will develop. But my take on this is that we probably won't be seeing new app stores right now.
And that's good. I'm not ready to publish to multiple app stores.
I would agree. I think that would be it for this episode. We went through the recent thing. Hopefully, the next one will be within a month. I mean, like we will have something to talk about after this September 27th developer event. We hopefully will see new iPhones like delivered, and we might see how this action button works.
Might see.
Well, yeah, or at least I will find somebody who has that. Yeah, we will work on that. And maybe we will get any new updates on the Vision Pro, since they now finally will be releasing the operating systems, and they might need now to focus on the Vision OS. Maybe, we'll see.
Finally. Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody. That was a fifth episode of Apple Treats. Tell us what you think. I don't know, give us a review, or maybe find us on Twitter, on Mastodon, on maybe even Threads. I don't know. No, probably not yet.
It's not available for me yet.
Yeah. Or at least on Instagram. We have an account there. We didn't publish anything there, but you can try to find us there and subscribe. We will be probably trying this new format.
This will motivate us to do something.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, and see you soon. Bye.